Hi, good morning. This is relaxing painting. Huh. And we're on the wrong camera. There we are. Okay. This is relaxing painting. I'm Nicole. Filling in for Greg. He is off seeing family. So, welcome. Gonna just make sure everything's working just right. It looks like it's working all right on my screen. See how it goes. Get any feedback. Yeah, so we're gonna be painting Owlbears, classic D&D monster. We will hopefully be streaming pretty regularly. Sometimes my schedule gets a little crazy, but I'm gonna be doing my best to be filling in for Greg the entire time he's gone. So this is our Owlbear. We have two. They're similar but very slightly different in terms of design and shape and everything, as you'd expect. We're gonna be doing since I have two, I'm gonna do two varieties. I'm gonna start with a classic brown tawny sort of Owlbear, and then the other one I'm gonna do as a sort of a polar variety, so it'll be snow owl and polar bear, rather than sort of the grizzly, some sort of owl, great horned owl, it looks like. I pulled up a picture for reference, so on coloration, it's always helpful with any animal, even if it's an imaginary one. So we're going to just sort of get started. We're starting a little late today. We were dropping Greg off at the airport at 5 a.m. So it's probably going to be a sort of quiet, slow, relaxing morning as we paint through this Owlbear. So just sort of looking from what we're seeing in our reference picture, they get lighter on the bottom and darker on the top, and we have some black spotting through the feathers, which you sort of expect for an owl. And there'll be a white-ish underbelly that goes up to the face. So what we're gonna do is gonna be built a little messily. We're gonna be going through and basically layering in different layers of color and building up on each other in order to sort of build out the shape. And then once we have a base coat built up of all these different colors, then we'll wash and do some highlighting as well. So we'll get started. I'm going to start bottom and work up. So we're gonna go from light to dark. So we're gonna actually start with its sort of white underbelly. So I am take that up a bit. I'm gonna be starting with bone white. It's not quite over, so you can do like dead white, which is very white. Since this is a natural creature, I don't really want that like exceedingly white color. Okay. So it looks like it goes on the sort of underbelly and under the arms. Like so. And it will actually go around the claws a little because they sort of have, at least in the front, sort of an eagle talon bear palm mix. So we're gonna get it put on, and at this stage it is really a-okay if I go a little messy or heavy with it because it's gonna be building up. Now what I can't really see in my reference pictures what happens in the back, but because this part of it is based on owl coloration, I don't think it will actually go all the way to the back. They sort of have like a vest or something, so I'll probably stop around there. Something like that. And we're gonna go over the claws themselves with a black later to get them dark again. But for now, we want to just get this underbelly started. In my reference picture, it does go up to the face itself, just a little. We're gonna slowly build our white underbelly here, and this also will get some black speckling later on. And what I kind of want to do is sort of, so this is probably where it'll end up, but in terms of space coverage for the white, but what I want to do, since I'm going to be layering a lot, is actually go further than needed where I know I'm going to come back down. And that lets you create sort of an intermingling between colors. You can sort of create a less than perfect barrier because it's all fur and feathers on this guy. You don't expect hard lines between regions of color. You expect them to sort of blend together. I'll try to achieve that by going a little more than necessary. And then we'll go back over once it's dry in order to sort of create that effect. And then we're gonna go hit the tops of the feet a little, like here, up on front at least, because these are gonna be more like owl talons, color-wise than bear paws. On the front too. The back too, I'll do more like bear paws. So again, we're going a little further than this white's gonna end up being, because that lets us have some wiggle room to go back over. Yeah. So looks a little silly with just the white underbelly, but that's gonna be our start. So looking over at the figure, I have a couple browns pulled out. I got a little range. We sort of have this cork, lighter cork color, this orangish beastly brown, and then darker flat brown. And based on what I'm seeing, I'm probably only going to use the flat brown a little bit. I'm going to start with the cork brown and build away from... Good morning. Hi, Safichu? I'm going to start with the cork brown here. And we're going to build further up off of the white underbelly, continuing to work up, go down the arms, things like that. And then we'll switch to the darker brown for up along the top of the spine, and then we'll probably intermix a little bit of the flat brown. It's a D&D mini, so it's a Owlbear. Just got started, but we have two, so here's the unpainted variety. Owlbear is sort of a classic Dungeons and Dragons mini. Thank you. Yeah, we 3D printed it. The designer is Michael Zavala. He does a whole bunch of really great minis. When we post these on YouTube, I always have a link to his site if we use his minis, so some of our older episodes, you can find them on YouTube if you want a link. So, thank you. That's the plan. We're going to be layering fur and feathers up. And from my reference picture, it's darker on top, so... and then we'll work on the face at some point as well. We're just gonna slowly be building up colors. So, gonna mix up my cork brown. And this will sort of help us build that tawny look that the classic Owlbear has. And we'll probably do the black spotting at the very end on the white, or very close to the end. Okay, so this is a nice brown. This cork brown. So I'm sort of building it to where I did the white underbelly, and I went further than needed with the white. Once I get the brown sort of where I want it. I will get my brush a little drier and do some splotchy work down the white in order to create more of intermingling between the brown and the white. But for now, we're just trying to get the area covered. And I think we'll go to about this line here. It's a little like that. And then we'll do the darker up on top. A lot of animals in nature have this sort of gradation that occurs within the fur between top and bottom. I think I've noticed predators tend to be darker on the top, and prey animals tend to be darker on the bottom and lighten up in the opposite direction. I'm not 100% sure why that is. I'm assuming it's some sort of camouflaging, subtle camouflaging, depending on if you're a prey or a predator. But yeah, it's just something I've noticed as I painted animal wild shape minis. Since this guy is definitely a predator, it would make sense to be darker up top. Okay. So that'll be a good color. I'll probably do a umber wash instead of a black wash on this. It'll be a little more natural. And I'll let this carry out to the underside here. All the way in there. I'm trying to be conscientious about how much paint I use, just because I don't like wasting. So, and I tend to put less than I need in my tray. Right up to slightly above the feather line, so I'll use that as a guide for myself. Sun. My first goal here is coverage. Just getting as much of the primed section covered as possible. Oh, good morning, Medicinal Shy Guy. As you can probably tell, we're working on an Owlbear today. Just getting some of the first coats on for the different color blocks that will make this magical beast. Oh. So once we get the color blocks in, we'll start blending them into one another. If I was using oils, blending would be a little fancier, but since this is acrylic paint we're using today, you sort of have to do a layering to get the blending. They don't blend into each other quite as fancy of a way. As oil-based paints do. The harder part, apparently, is getting down in between all these feathers. There's a lot of little gaps. So I just want to make sure I'm actually getting coverage in all of those areas. And as we work around to the butt region, just make sure we're staying roughly at the same like height level, because when I do the darker layer on top, I want it to cover properly, and then we'll work down from there. And I'm not going as dark as I could with some of these paint colors because I know I am going to be putting a wash on top. Even an umber wash will darken everything down quite a bit, and then we'll probably have to highlight up on top of that. The big advantage of the sort of new fancy contrast speed paint, it depends on the brand, that they have been making, which are really cool. I've gotten to play with them a little bit. It sort of does this base coat step and the wash step all in one go, so they really save you time once you learn their own little. They have their own little quirks that you gotta learn, but once you do, they're pretty cool. Unfortunately, we only bought the we didn't know how they worked yet. We never used them, so we bought the basic starter set, and it only has like a tenth of the colors that are available. So I don't have a huge range to play with right now. We'll probably do little black pads on the bottoms of the paws as well when we do the black speckling. Just to be proper. And I do apologize for the late start. We were running parents to the airport. Okay, I think that's gonna be our sort. Well, oh, I have to get the head. Sorry, almost there. So we're gonna go not all the way up the head, but a good portion. And I'm not worried about the eyes. We'll get those later when we do the face proper. But start getting the head painted, at least the coloration on the head painted in, and the beak will be black. Okay, so now we're going to do our beastly brown, which is this nice darker orange brown, and that's going to go pretty much just on the top here. This is going to be our darkest part of the Owlbear, and then once we have that, and I locate all the spots that I missed. Once we have the top painted on, and we have, and we give it a minute to dry properly. The next thing we're gonna do, you'll see better on this side, is sort of intermingle all of these color blocks so that they're not such a stark, hard line. You don't really see that in animals often, unless it's like a frog or something. But furred animals and feathered animals, there tends to be a bit of blending that occurs in their colors, especially the furred animals. Even skunks and stuff, if you see them in the real world, they tend to have a little blending between the black and the white just because fur gets meshed together. So what we're gonna do is turn our Owlbear up, and we'll work from the top. The biggest difficulty area here will be getting it in between all the feathers. I'm gonna see how much I can get on my glove. That's why I'm wearing gloves. Thank you. I have had coffee delivered to me. So, before I dig into this part, I'm gonna let it dry and have a little coffee. So, interesting note, the Owlbear is a D&D original monster. It's created with D&D. Similar to like the Rust monster that was done just on Friday. Basically, in the very early days, they needed monsters as minis, but 3D printing wasn't a thing. So they would buy like little figures that they could, whatever they could. Often they are sort of like the kind of stuff you'd expect to get out of those little capsule machines in like grocery stores and stuff. Injection printed, plastic, cheap, sort of things. And then they'd make up the monster to match the mini. And a lot of them that were just the right scale were these, I think, I don't remember if they're Japanese or Chinese or where, but they were little injection molded kaiju, sort of like Godzilla creatures. And they were just sort of very strange things. So they would make up a monster to match the mini that they found that they would get. I don't know if they're from Laos, Laotian. I don't think that's how. I think it's Laotian, Laotian for Laotian. But they were supposed to be kaiju, you know, Godzilla, Mothra, Ghidorah, but they were sort of generic-y. Sorry. And if you look it up, you can still, they'll have pictures of like the minis that they used. So like the Owlbear is very silly looking, but I can't really blame them. It does have a owl bear look to it. Like it looks like a combination of an owl and a bear, the way it was molded. So a lot of like the really classic D&D monsters, if you're like, where did they think of that? Oftentimes it was just like based on the strange molded figures they could get their hands on. This is a very nice rich brown. I like this color. I'm gonna be turning the owlbear up right like this so I can hopefully get down into these feathers and get on the undersides, because what I don't want is little flashes of speckles of gray showing through. Which might happen if I don't get good coverage underneath all the feathery parts. And this will get us sort of to the very... Just say the owlbear is bleaching due to have gone from a fey realm for too long. That's why there's gray spots forming. I won't be as worried about the gray spots for the other one. I'm planning to do sort of a polar theme, so snow owl polar bear rather than the classic brown, which I think is a great horned owl and a grizzly. And I'm always surprised when you have texture like this with the feathers, it drastically increases your surface area. So I'm always surprised at how much paint it takes to fully cover an area like this. Now, I don't think owlbears canonically are from the Fey realm, just so you know. Originally, they were a creation of a wizard in the material plane. Like a wizard was a little too bored and created a species of owl bears. Because I think when they were created, the the Fey realm wasn't a thing. That's my technically for the day. Paint's not adhering great back here in some areas, so we'll have to go back over those. But this will be nice, darker color along the top. And then we're gonna bleed the darker color from the top down. So, and we're probably gonna just sort of dry brush model it in rather than try and do anything too fancy. Once it's all on. Owlbears do seem like something a Fey Lord would do out of boredom at some point, to sort of start combining animals for funsies. Okay, so we have full coverage of the color blocks now. So what we're going to do is I'm gonna dry brush. So basically what I do is I get some paint on the brush, get a whole lot of it off just by dabbing, and now that it's sort of a dry brush, I can get this sort of like semi-translucent coloration, and it'll mostly just skate along the higher points of the model, but it will let me sort of blur the line between the color blocks and create more of a mottled effect. And I'm gonna start at the top and work my way down. I'm also gonna do a little dry brushing of the darker brown down the front of the arm here to create a darker bit on the front. And this is what's gonna really start to give some texture to this creature. Not look quite so layered and artificial. And we're gonna tackle the details of the face a bit later. Wasn't as dry as it could have been, but that's okay. Part of the goal is to really break up the more harsh line that I put in as sort of a definer. I don't want any of that formerly harsh line really visible, but you can see as I go, it's a little shiny because it's drying still, but this brown is now looking much more sort of like a natural fade between the two. And then we'll do the same with the cork over the white. We go along. And then eventually we're gonna put a wash over all of this to sort of get, especially in the cracks and crevices, and then we'll probably have to do a stage where we sort of lighten it back up a little, get some highlights and details back in. So none of this fur slash feather is really set in stone at this point. There's gonna be a lot of little back and forth bits to accomplish a sort of semi-naturalistic look. They'll sort of see the lines. I'm being a little... There. Okay, now we're gonna switch back to the cork, and start going down over the white. This part will be a little... It won't bleed quite as well into each other, because they're a lot starker color difference. But my main goal here isn't so much to cover all of the white up as it is to break up the line, the hard line. So you can see it looks a lot more, compared to like there on the belly. Here I've just done, it has a lot more of a natural bleed over to it. And that's what we're going for. Gives a much more naturalistic look. Yeah. We're getting somewhere. We're starting to break all that up. Oh. Alright, here's your flip. Oh, it was off screen. There. So, our sort of Owlbear looks to be coming along all right. Breaking up all of that hard line just by doing some light dry brushing. Technically, sorry, I can't turn into an owlbear. Also, we've never seen an owlbear, I think. But in a technically moment, owlbears are... I've seen an owl, I've seen a bear. Use my imagination. Yeah, that's how it works. Um, Owlbears are technically monstrosities, not beasts, so they are not eligible for wild shape. That's our second, technically, of the day. When it comes to owlbears. And yes, I know that the druid in the D&D movie turns into an owlbear. But what I assume is happening is that she got the DM's approval to basically do our reskin on like a bear wild shape. And it's just a flavor reskin rather than a mechanical. An otter bear, that'd be pretty cool. You get the swim speed of the otter. Well, and a solid jumping charisma, exactly. The otter brings a lot to the table, way more than the owl does. But I think we have a fairly good naturalistic coloration happening here. Between the three different colors. Enough, at least, I think, for to get us started on doing like washes and detailing and stuff like that. It's got a good base coat vibe to it. So taking a look, obviously I need to do the face. The face is as yet basically effectively untouched. But what I'm gonna do, because I'm running into a slight issue, the cardboard I am painting on top of is taking off a little bit of paint here and there because it's still wet and I'm juggling it around. I'm gonna take a short bathroom break. Let this dry. I might do 2 short breaks rather than 1 long break. Just for drying purposes. Just putting some extra dark on the forearms. Yeah. I'm gonna let this dry a little because I don't want, I'm pulling paint off with my glove even, and before I go into detailing and washing and everything on this, I would like to have the base coat be nice and dry. So we're gonna take a short break here. We might take a second short break, depending on drying needs. But I just don't want to damage the paint that I've done so far. Yeah, so I'll be back shortly. Thanks for watching so far, and we'll be having more to do. All right, be right back. Hi, we're back. There we go. I took a minute to have some breakfast, so I wasn't painting on an empty stomach. Hope that's alright. And where are we at? Getting a glove on. Okay, now that it's a bit drier, I can really start to feel like I can handle it and take a look. Looking pretty good. So, what we need, we're gonna be doing a wash, I think. Yeah, so here's the plan. We'll do a wash, and then we'll do detail work. Once the wash is on and dry, we'll be able to, we'll want to go over, do some highlighting, bumping some of the colors back on. Once the colors are bumped back on, then we'll do the detailing. So based on my picture, on the sort of breast area here, we'll have black spots, and we're going to carry either black or brown spots up over the feathers on the back to sort of darken those in. And then we'll be doing the face, so it'll be like a few layers to get the eyes. We'll probably put in black when we're doing the details to create the base of the eye, and then they're gonna be sort of yellow owl eyes, and the beak will be black as well from the looks of things. So the first thing we want to do is bring out some of the texture of the mini, and to do that we're going to use an umber wash, which is brown wash. That's not the umber wash. Here's the umber wash. Give this a good mix on our little vibrating mixer thingy. Alright. So, get a good amount. Wash tends to go quickly. And what this is gonna do is, you can see the sort of fur texture, the fur and feather texture. It's gonna go down into the sort of lower parts of it and tone everything in. And that'll create sort of a natural look, it'll give it some depth, effectively. And we don't want to, the main thing we want to avoid is getting too many like bubbles, that sort of thing. But this will help create sort of a shape and texture once it dries, and it will stop being quite so shiny. It's a very wet paint, washes, so it tends to be very reflective while it's wet. In some ways we want it to pool. In other areas we don't want it to pool quite so much, so I'm just going through and making sure it's pooling where I'd like it to. And it tends to run with gravity, so undersides will get darker. But all we're really looking for is just that little textural pop as we sort of build up the contrast of the piece using this wash. And this should really start to bring out the texture in the feathers as well. I do this. Like, I like it to pool under the arms and legs a little, because that helps define the shape. But sometimes it will tend to pool a little more than is necessary. And I'm a-okay with it darkening a little more than it feels like it should, because what I'm gonna do is go back over. Back over the piece with the base colors in order to sort of lighten them back up from where they were. But this helps create a lot of contour and contrast in the miniature. And this is sort of what you get with contrast / speed paints, is it does this the same time you're doing the base coat. So it really does speed things along. Tackle these feathers now. I'm gonna go against the grain on the feathers, that way the wash sort of gets pushed underneath them. That'll help create some dimensionality on the feathers here. I'm okay with the face, because I'm gonna be working on the face later. It's fine to be a little messy here. You can see, hopefully, how much sort of texturing it's getting. As it gets drier, it'll show better. And at this point, I'm not adding anymore. I'm just going through and breaking up where I feel like it's maybe pooling a little too much and getting a little too dark. Moving it around to different areas. And then we will go through and lighten it back up, especially on the belly. I want that to be lighter. But what this is going to do is create those darker low points that the highlights will really have a chance to shine. So it's a little bit of an odd process, really, doing the wash, but it'll create a very good base coat for us to work. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Just letting it dry off a bit, and let gravity sort of settle it where it's gonna be. I'm feeling pretty happy with it. What I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna need black. This will be good for the claws, the eye sockets, the spotting. The 3 colors of my fur for the highlights. And then I'll probably do black. I could do a flat brown for some of the spots, but I think I'm just gonna go all the way to black for the spots. But what I need to get is a nice yellow. So this is a good yellow for our Owlbear eyeball. We're gonna need to very carefully, after we get black, because so the way Hudifer Barrington, is that what, okay, you've named our Owlbear. All right, let's see. Do I have a pen? Or no, yeah. Oh. Hudifer. So here is Hudifer Barrington. There we go. There's our named Owlbear. We'll let him dry next to him. Is it a boy or a girl Owlbear? Is it like Jennifer Hudifer? Or is it like what are we going with here? Since you're naming now and redeeming name points. And we do have a second one, so that'll be up for grabs name-wise later when we're getting to it. So the beak, the claws are also going to be black, according to my reference picture that I'm using. Just sort of waiting. Gonna dry off my brush and get a little breaking up of where it's pooling. A little more than desired. Yeah, it's looking pretty good now. So, I don't know how visible this is, but you can really... That was weird. You can really start to see, as I go closer, where this sort of dappled, where the dark wash has gotten into the fur, and it helps bring out the fur texture. So what that means is when I go back over it with the base color, when I go back over it with the base color, I'm gonna be skating on top with a dry brush. So it should, hopefully, if I do it right, leave these darker low points in the where they are, and the higher points, we're using the fact that it's a 3D model to our advantage here. the higher points, like the tips of the feathers, the highest points of the fur, things like that, will get lightened, and that'll create a gradation contrast that'll really help sell the three-dimensionality of the miniature. As is predictable, the darker points are the slowest drying. So you can see along the arms there, those areas are a little slower to dry. And also the areas where I painted first, predictably. For some reason I got some paint off the tail there. But we'll hit that when we highlight it. So I'm going to give this guy a little bit more time to dry because I don't want, at this point, to move the wash away from where it is settling. But it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's mostly highlight, and then just looking at the owlbear, there's not a whole lot going on other than black spots, black beak, black claws, and then the yellow eyes. The interesting part with the eyes is going to be that to get sort of the eye that your brain expects when at bloody claws, because it licks the blood clean. Like, it's not gonna look perfectly good blood sitting around on claws getting dirty when it could, slurp them up. So with the eyes, the interesting thing is you're gonna make like a black circle to create the like underlayer, and then a slightly smaller yellow circle, and that will help create a very fine black around the yellow. Something that wouldn't really be achievable with a regular brush. So you get this very fine black line on a yellow circle, around a yellow circle, and then you go in with a very tiny bit of black paint, just pop in the pupil, and that creates your basic eye shape. Now, if you want to be fancy and add sort of a glossy reflection to the eye, you can, similar to the pupil, take a very tiny piece of white paint and pop that in sort of off center from the pupil, so it overlaps things. That's sort of the easiest way to create eyes on a mini, just layering different colors on top of each other. And I think when I do the face, when I get out the white again, I'm gonna want to lighten up a few spots on the face. In the area around the eyes is whiter in our reference image, so I'm gonna do a little dappling in the face of our owlbear here. But we're getting there. Things are drying accordingly. Still slightly tacky texture-wise. But the big thing we're going to want to do is lighten up the tummy. Because it gets a little messy when you have the brown on a brown like that, an umber wash on the brown. It melds pretty well. When you do it on a lighter color like this sort of bone white, it can get a little muddy. So when we go back over it, it should start to really show well. But what we really want is those lower dark areas. And I think you know, if I was painting this at home, well, I am painting it at home, but if I was painting this not on stream just for myself, I would step away, just take a break and wait for Who to Fur Here to dry fully, because you do sometimes get some stickiness that will pull away some of the paint, things like that. But since we're on a stream, and it's not all that exciting if I'm just sitting around, we're gonna flip Who to Fur upside down like this, get out a little bit of our bone white, and start. Basically, we're gonna be doing the same order that we did the base coat in, but I cannot juggle. So I guess that might be the entertaining part. I can't even do a single object. I am not that coordinated. So what I'm going to be doing is like when I merge the colors together. I'm going to be sort of dry brushing the light back on. Maybe slightly heavier than then, but... And I'm going to be kind of dappling. Working out from the center a bit. Now we're just lightening things back up to where they were before. That's pretty good. An Cleric, a bird of prey. I like that. Welcome. Is it Erunan? Is that the pronunciation? Erunan? Pretty spot on. Cool. It's a good name. It has a good fantasy vibe. Erunan. So I don't want to undo. Do I know why bards go on adventures? No, why? That's pretty good. For the loot. So for our Owlbear here, I'm lightening up, but I don't want to remove all of that dark. Yeah, you like that one, Who? Why do paladins love chainmail? I don't know why. Holy armor. Those are pretty solid puns. Classic D&D mixed with... I do enjoy a good pun. It's they're a lot of fun. You did a one-man show about puns, but it was a play on words. Jeez. These are pretty solid ones. I do love a good pun. It's ideal if you go, instead of laughing outright, you go, oof. Is the ideal response for a pun, I think. Yeah, the oof is the highest praise for a good pun. I 100% agree. The beak, as a side note, is not painted yet, so I don't have to worry too much about getting on it yet as I lighten up the face. Do you have any owlbear puns since we're painting an owlbear? I don't know. That's probably pretty specific. You wanted to make a Kenku druid. So it would be foul magic. I am painting Hudifer Barrington. I like that Kenku druid. Foul magic. Yeah, sorry. We did name the owlbear. It's Hudifer Barrington. Who named the owlbear? So I apologize who it is. Hootington Barrington. Trying to get. It's not very PC. Well, that's probably fine. As long as it's not like horrifyingly not PC. Swear words are fine. Things like that. that works. What's the difference between 3 rabid owl bears and a joke? I'm trying to guess. Difference between 3 rabid owl bears and a joke. Not sure I'm gonna get it. Eh. Yeah, I suppose that's a little, you know, not PC, but it's not bad. That. Checking something quick. Yeah, that actually works with owl bears. That's pretty good. I suppose that is fair that you. I appreciate that you edited yourself with the not very PC though, because I don't. I try not to be too weird about it, but I do put these up on YouTube, so. And YouTube is weird about things like that. But, yes, I got it now. So we're building out the face. I went a little high overboard on the white for the face because I want to build it back when I do the next browns for the highlighting. But as you can see, we sort of brought the tawny white back without overdoing it on and losing our wash. So we're gonna go for our medium brown now. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if I know any good D&D puns. Oh, I don't have any water. Let me. All right, well, hear this pun, and then I'll grab a water so I can hydrate. What do you call half a horse, half a human monk? A Zentar. That's a good one. I'm gonna grab a glass of water because I've been ordered to hydrate. I'm not gonna break or anything, so I'll be right back. Okay. There. I've drunk water. Please don't spam hydrate. Who? I mean, you can if you want. I'm just dry brushing the base. I missed the last part. Let me go back. Okay. Oh god. Who also? Oh man, I missed some stuff. Okay. Let me get one more hydrate. All right. If we were fighting an undead centaur, wouldn't we just be beating a dead horse? Jeez. That one's a good one. A good D&D pun. See, puns are best, I think, when they're very like overly specific. I guess I'll say like you're like, well, you have to understand at least a bit about whatever that specific thing is. Or yeah, or it just has to be super obvious. Then it gets really nicely cringy because you're just like, jeez. Of course, that is a good prerequisite. Is like the super obvious. I accidentally ate my cat's meds last night. Don't ask meow. That's a good one. In terms of what did you miss? Just we've been painting an owlbear, listening to really bad puns. Let's see, not even not even kitten you. Could have been a catastrophe. Yeah. Doing the play on words. I feel like for the really obvious puns, you want a budgie bear? Oh well, we do have a second owl bear to paint later. What do you call a pile of kittens? I don't know what. Feline perfect. Meowton. Is that the answer? Or a cuddle puddle. Those are both very good answers. I like that cuddle puddle. I was planning to do this owl bear as like a polar version, like a snow owl polar bear, but a jungle version might be kind of cool. You had to do a cat interview. The cuddle puddle would require direct ray of sunlight, though. Oh yeah, because they would puddle out. Exactly. What exactly is a cat interview? Do you interview a cat? Are you interviewed as a cat? Be allergic to animal hair, and same with the cameraman we did for the Scottish Kids comic show. So they were tests. So you had to do an interview with the cat to make sure you could be around the cat. Is what it was, or yeah, the bare necessity song. I have to sing it though in a way that would not be picked up by copyright bots. You dress like a cowboy almost without the hat, and just like asked puns and other things. That is bizarre, but it sounds fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'm liking the idea of a jungle. Is the background music looping? I don't know. I don't actually hear it in the studio here. It looks like it's not. Somehow it got turned off yet again. There we go. Hopefully that is that coming through now. Um, I do like the idea of a jungle owlbear. Because I've seen the Arctic owlbear. Yeah, it'd be more like a parrot bear. Yeah, exactly. Technically, it'd be a parrot bear. Owls are more deciduous foresty. I always think of, at least. But that'd be an interesting take on one, because I've definitely seen the Arctic owlbear before, but I don't think I've ever seen a a tropical owlbear or bird bear, some sort of bird bear. And I have some good prismatic colors that would work well for like parrot feathers. I won't be able to do too much about the face, of course, because it's the mini is the mini. But is there an Aarakocra bear? I mean, you could have a Aarakocra werebear. There's nothing saying an Aarakocra couldn't become a werebear. Am I doing? It will be a regular Wednesday. I'm not going to touch Greg's submarine, so we'll be Submarine Wednesday free for a little while, unfortunately. Did I put here? Some sort of super train model. I don't know. I've never really done the vintage models before, unlike Greg. So I can't imagine I'd be terribly good with them. Where vintage now? You mean age-wise? You're a wine? Well, I mean, an owlbear is a pretty vintage, yeah, Pokemon cards are antiques. You're a whiner. There you go. Yeah, I might be aging myself a little, but I did collect the first gen of Pokemon cards in middle school. I still have them somewhere. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't bother me. Pikachu with an onion on his belt, which was the style at the time. So we're sort of bringing the color back up with this highlighting process while also maintaining some of the darker that we got with the wash. Vampire frogs were my favorite. Yeah, Simpsons quotes before they were memes. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I remember the vampire frogs. What was that? Was that a card thing or what? Like it might have not been in my area. A big thing. Being a little gentle with my brown application on the face here. Try not to go overboard with it. I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna be watching more Super Train this weekend. It was fine. We watched the first movie episode thing. It was not as bad as I was expecting. Turbo Teen was bad. It was very bad. Get my own camera. All right. Oh, hello. Bonjour. Susamen? CC Eisenman? What do we, I don't know. I'm always fun to guess pronunciations. Sissenman? Something like that? CC Eisenman? I'm so at guessing. I'm gonna take my lighter brown here, and I'm gonna do a tiny bit of touching on the tips of the feathers. I just want to get the tips of the feathers. Because the feather area is feeling a little samey, a little bit too flat. So I'm just highlighting up a little to bring some lighter colors into it. So for everyone who's new here, I am currently filling in for our regular painter, Greg, who is on vacation. But if you're interested, we have pretty much our entire, I think, backlog of painting videos, but with both him and I painting on our YouTube. If you just search Dyson Dungeons on YouTube, you should be able to find it, no problem. So when I get some speckles on this later, it'll turn out pretty nice. Some of the black speckling. Okay, so I think our fur feather. No, I just need to get you on there to paint. Yeah, you'll be very good at it, having never done it before, right? I think our fur is looking kind of where I'd like it, our fur feathers. So what we're gonna do is start to move in towards doing some of the detail work. The detail work will consist of pretty much 3 things. We're gonna do some black claws on the feetsies, black speckling on the chest and back where the feathers are, and then a black beak, and we're gonna tackle the face then as well, because the face is thus far unpainted. So there's going to be a lot of just using the black to get detail, and for the eyes we have a nice bright yellow color. But why don't we start by shaking up our black. And we're gonna start with the claws. I should not need much black. This is gonna be fairly delicate work. And then just select my brush. That is not the one I want. Maybe this one? That should be okay. Alright. So what we're gonna do is just get little black tips on our claws here. Pretty straightforward, but necessary. Sort of sell the foot. So you can see the claw looks much nicer with the black talons on it than the neighboring foot where it doesn't have those. We'll get it now. Just like painting nails. There we go. Nice little black claw. Now, the back feet might be a little trickier. We'll find out. Did I smudge? The black back feet with the black will be only as tricky as my ability to not drop the figure, I think. Well, I do think it's fun to see someone learn how to do something. So, having who come on and learn how to paint would be, I think, a very fun, interesting experience. Okay, now we got some black claws. And I don't know, I don't really criticize all that much, outside of jokingly. Like all humans, you take criticism very well. Yeah, I know. So what we want to do in the eye area is get a little black. This will be the bottom layer. For our eyes, that we'll paint on top of. So that's not how the eyes will look ultimately, but that's sort of our underlayer that we're gonna do. Similarly, well, not similarly, well, we're similar in that we're using the black. We're gonna paint our beak. And when that dries, it's a little boring when it's just black, even though that's kind of what the owlbear is. So I'm probably gonna take the white and do a little bit of a highlight on the tip to give it a little more variety. The black really brings out the owl. Yeah, I know, when the face wasn't painted at all, it looked more bare-y, but the black helps sell the owl image of it. So what we're gonna do now is take our fine brush here and just put a couple these black dapples, because they actually have this sort of owl-like dapple pattern. Trying to be very gentle with it. The black dapple, little black dots, spots. Look like, in my reference picture at least, they sort of carry up. Let's throw our speckles. There's similarly a tiny bit of speckling on the back feathers, it looks like. Okay. Trying to be fairly deliberate. I think that's coming along. I'm not sure I love the speckling on top. What I'm gonna do is just lighten them a little by taking our brown. Just dry brush dabbing a little bit on top. Don't mind keeping a little in there, but I just didn't quite like how they were on there. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now is take my finer brush, get it fairly clean. I'm gonna take a little bit of the white that I've been using, the creamy white, and just right on the tip of the beak here. Dry brush a little lighter area because the beak's a little much. So I'm gonna put this on and then go back over with the black. So we'll lighten up the tip and then I'm gonna cut this off. Take this brush. Get a little black on it. Get almost all of the black off. And then just to give it a little texture. It's probably not super visible on camera, unfortunately, but that's alright. It'll be in the picture. Okay, so the big part that's left is the eyes. I think we have a pretty solid looking Owlbear happening. So we have a black base on the eye sockets, and we're gonna use this yellow now very, very carefully. To create the iris. Typically yellow is a little translucent of a color, or in acrylic. Let's see how this goes. This is a monstrosity, technically. Owlbears are considered monstrosities, not beasts. Which is why they are technically not usable for our wild shape. You can charm it, but not talk to it. Now, we do in our campaign have our magic item that gives us the ability to speak to monstrosities. Gonna call it there on the yellow. So I'll create our yellow eye, and then we'll just need to add pupilling. You don't think you're about? Well, I'm sure Hootifer it is a little monstrous with the yellow eyes. Yeah. The yellow eyes are a big selling point on it, using the owl yellow. So I don't want to put the pupil in until this yellow has had a chance to dry, because it will just run. So I'm gonna take a minute just to wait a second, just to wait. One thing I can do is on the underside of the sort of great horned owl tufts, it looks in the reference picture to be a lot darker on the underside here. So gonna take the black and sort of gently darken up the underside of the tuft here. Alright, and now the start of the make or break it time. We are going to attempt to put pupil. Choose my angle here. Great. Alright. It's not perfect, but, you know, it'll do. I don't want to mess with it too much. I think the one last thing, well, I don't know. Trying to decide if it's good there, or if I need to make any changes. I'm gonna regret this, but I think I've lost a little too much of the black on the underside of the eye. That looks better. And I didn't screw it up, so I'm gonna call that a win. Now, I know it's earlier than normal, but rather than just start a whole new Owlbear or anything like that from scratch, I'm probably gonna just call it early. I have other job to do. But I hope you enjoyed our little Owlbear escapade. I'm pretty happy with Hootifer here. I'll be taking some pictures. It'll be uploaded on YouTube. So check us out. Otherwise, we stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. We do the painting stream. I'll be taking it over for the next 2 weeks. Start around 10, go until we're done, usually, or 2, whichever happens first. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with our little owl buddy here. So we went from this to this, I'd say fairly successfully. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll be back Wednesday doing, I think, a tropical Owlbear. I like the idea of a tropical parrot bear, I guess. Maybe I'll look at a jungle bear. So like there's the spirit bear, I think it's called, or the bear sloth bear, something like that. I'll research it and you'll name it. Exactly. So I think we'll be doing a parrot bear to go with our classic Owlbear. And then they go. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope to see you on Wednesday when we will do more painting here on Dyson Dungeons. And check out all our old episodes. Our D&D show, everything is up on our YouTube channel. That's Dyson Dungeons on YouTube. Yeah, check it out. All right, bye.